wonderful episode of Monday Mornings with Elise N, where we help spiritual visionary entrepreneurs market their business with integrity, love, and authenticity so that they can get their name out there, make meaningful money, and live a rich life the way they desire it. So, welcome back to another episode of Monday Mornings with Elise N. And today it's going to be the last episode. I'm going to take a break. I am not sure if I'm going to be back. Life is as such. We work life in cycles, and it's just how I look at my business and how I would love to effectively serve my audience. And since I have the Spiritual Entrepreneurs group, I feel like this weekly episode, is not necessarily going for 60 minutes, because I'm in contact with you every day via the Spiritual Entrepreneurs anyway. So if you're not at the awesome Facebook group, do get yourself over there. It's just go to Facebook and type the Spiritual Entrepreneurs and you will be there. And of course, we have meaningful conversations. It may not always be easy, but that's what life is all about, right? Life is just not all about, the happiness, the wonderful feelings. That's why, women get out of relationships once it becomes stagnant and they enter into, that's my daughter trying to come in, and go into another relationship. So they enjoy that high, you know what I mean? So, and so today's episode is about how to visualize yourself to success. And, in business, 80% is mindset and 20% is the action. It's always the 80-20% rule. So 80% mindset, if you do the work, all you need to do is that 20% inspired action and you get 80% of the results. It's not the other way. So isn't that wonderful? So mindset is everything. And my mentor used to say, and she always says this, the best personal development on the planet is to go start a business, and which is so true. I mean, as women, we are emotional creatures. We don't do business, we don't run, we don't function like men. So it is so crucial that we keep our emotions in check, because emotions and business do not mix. It's like beer and champagne. You drink it, the next day you get hangover. So it's a very bad mix. It's like tequila and beer or something, right? So you want to not mix too much emotions with business. And for women, that's hard, because we are taught to give and sacrifice, and our other people's happiness is above ours. So it's really hard to even give ourselves that permission to even visualize, to daydream. So the first step to success is to actually give yourself or gift yourself that permission to dream, to know that it is possible. I've talked to lots of women and all my clients, and of course we all start out struggling. If your father is not a millionaire and life's not as good as it should be, then we all start out at the same place. We survive, we struggle, and then from that space we make that decision to do whatever it takes to get ourselves out of that situation. So the first thing you need to do is obviously make that decision. And most people don't, a lot of people will say, oh, I want true love, I want to make money, I want this, I want that, but they don't actually really believe it, and they aren't really willing to do work. So actually the first step is the funnest part, that's the word, the most fun part, is to actually just daydream and to feel how it feels like. Since the secret came out, I'm sure you must have heard this law of attraction, and if it's that easy, then everybody will be millionaires, billionaires, big boobs and that kind of thing, whatever it is for you, right? But it's not the case. So law of attraction has so much, it's much deeper than what we think it is. So we attract based on our emotions, and you cannot attract abundance while thinking of poverty. Yesterday I had a interesting conversation. I wouldn't even say it's challenging. And, it's about almost coming to 4,000 people on the TSE and the Spiritual Entrepreneurs. And it's not, and I don't, it's, this journey has been an interesting one for me, especially to put myself out there as a leader. And, my lesson is, I don't want to be wrong. I want to be right. In all full transparency, that's my lesson. It's like last year, my success was fueled by me wanting to prove to my mom that I could do it. I could do it without her, because for the past 30 years, I'm 35 now, for 30 years, I've been living off her. Sort of, kind of, she has always gotten my back. So, and then, we had a huge fight, and we had to, I think it's our soul just making things up so we can then experience and fully express who we are. So, it's like we see situations like this. Okay, during that time, it was the most horrible time for me, because I didn't know how to be independent. I didn't know how to make money. I didn't know how to be me. I've always said, if my mom dies, I'll die along with her, because that's how codependent I was. And so with that experience, I told myself, you know what, I was going to do whatever it takes, legally, morally, and without prostitution, to get there. Of course, in between that journey, many things have happened, but I'm just going to shortcut that process for you. And so it was just fueled by me wanting to prove that I'm right. Yeah. So when you up level to another level, or if you decide that, this is it, I want to up level, then be prepared for yucky stuff. And in the entrepreneur scene, this is what it takes, like 80% of the mindset work is you going inside and digging out all the yucky parts of you and face it. Because that's the fear. And if you have this unconscious belief, Carl Jung always says, until you make your unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. And this is what we all know, the unconscious is the one that is unconsciously, your unconscious is the one that is attracting those situations to you, even though your conscious mind says, I'm rich, I'm lovable, and I deserve whatever. It is, if you don't change your unconscious mind, then you're just going to be continuing attracting the situations that you don't want, even though you say you want. So this is the hardest, and this is the mindset work, and we call this process the shadow process. Going to, Debbie Ford, she championed it, the shadow work and all that, based on Carl Jung's work, and I think it's just amazing, venturing in the parts of the unknown within yourself. So it's just discovering who you are. So let me give you an example. Like, I have this, like, as you can tell, I have a huge relationship learning journey with my mother. So, and for years, I have been moving away, trying not to be her. Yeah. And I have come to this point in my life where I have realized that I am her, and she is the divine as well. So this, you may think, what has this got to do with visualizing success, right? Because most people don't even give themselves that permission to daydream and to visualize. They visualize one side, and then they say, no, it's not for me, it's for other people. So it is your unconscious beliefs that's fueling those results. And you have to get to the bottom of what's unconsciously sabotaging your success. So visualizing is one part. And so what I would love for you to do is actually visualize, like, what if you really had $1 million? So let me give you an example. Like, my company made this amount of money last year, right? And then I was watching, and then, this year, every time you raise your rates, there will be thoughts like, oh my God, who's going to pay me? And, the journey doesn't end. The journey really doesn't end. And every time you want to go to another level, new devil, something will come up for you to work on. So for me, it was like, I started thinking about, why is it that I'm having those thoughts again? Like, I'm afraid that nobody will pay me, blah, blah, blah. And, at the time I was reading Brian Katie's Brian Katie's work, Loving What Is, 4 questions. And one of the questions is it true? And it wasn't true. And the next question is, who will you be without those thoughts? And before that is to turn it around, like nobody will pay me. And when I turn the thing around, it's I don't pay myself. And I had this huge aha, and that is so true. Like if I don't even pay myself, then how would people want to pay me? So going back to the visualization is the same thing. If you don't even allow yourself to visualize that you actually deserve that 1 million, deserve to serve as many people as you desire, deserve to get your name out there, then that whole manifestation process is stuck because you're not even giving yourself that permission. So what I would love for you to do is to actually visualize the things that you want. And so I was going to bring you to, yesterday, I think it's just the universe. It's just cosmic joke. You get what you ask for, and sometimes it ain't pretty. So yesterday I added another rule to my TSE, which is no complaining, no whining, no drama. If you really need, I understand, sometimes we just need to release and vent out our emotional stuff. But you have to understand we are on a social platform, and it's, we are all business associates, and we have to have a certain sense of maturity when we present ourselves. Initially when I started my business, there was this mentor that says, be careful what you put on social media because people judge. And I'm like, no, it's okay. It's not that we want to be pretentious. So this is my point. I honor your experience. I honor what you are going through. But to honor yourself and to bring yourself to the next level, to up-level yourself, you've got to change your words. Like, yes, I get it. We have certain experiences. And if you whine and you complain, that's coming from the victim mindset. But I want to help you become a winner, not a whiner. So you've got to change the way you talk. I mean, I talked about my personal experiences, but if you read towards the end, it's always a turnaround, like how I have turned my situation around, what I have learned from it. It benefits me. It benefits the people who are reading it because, you just change the energy. What is the point of just complaining and whining? So part of visualizing your success is to watch what you say. Be careful what you ask for. So I said, I don't want any whining, complaining, and then boom, this lady comes in and it was a very difficult position for me to actually delete her post because I've spoken to her. I know she's a kind-hearted lady, and I support her mission. But in terms of looking at the bigger picture, I had to do what I had to do because I just said I want to up level, and I'm not, I'm taking a stand and I'm unapologetic for it because sometimes as leaders, you got to do very unpopular choices, which then leads to your success. Because think about it, right? I mean, this is the truth. Many people will have their own opinions. And here's how I operate. You can have your opinion. It doesn't mean that I have to listen if you don't have the results I want. Simple. Because, I'll give you a quote. I mean, there's so many people with, even DVF, Diane von Furstenberg. She went through a cancer period. And then she was introduced to Deepak Chopra. And then she said, it was, I think, some kind of a spiritual awakening for her. And she said if she doesn't want to die, she doesn't say things like, oh my God, I'm going to die. She doesn't say things. So she watched what she says. The universe has years. So you have to be careful with what you talk about. This is why you are not congruent with your manifestation, because you say you want this and then you think something else and then you say, oh my God. So it's not congruent. It's not aligned. The universe is confused. What should it send you, right? So it sends you the dominant thoughts. And Louise Hay, the queen of mindset, she said, change your thoughts and change your life. So your words are fueled by your thoughts. So when you change your thoughts, you change your words, and you have to be really conscious about it. I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's really conscious. Try not gossiping for 1 week. See how that feels like. I had a client. I told her, I said, try not gossiping for a week. I said 21 days. And then by the 3rd day, she says, you know what, Elise, is just too difficult. I can't, So it's a habit that you have to consciously break out of. And, yesterday I was on Instagram, and during Virtue, she has a daily card, and that card happens to be, well, in the gist, it basically says the same thing. Watch what you say, like with positive words, and, really take a stand for really watch what you say, because it really manifests into reality. And that was why it was difficult for me to delete that post, because I get it. I understand how she feels like. But as someone who is holding the space for 3,700 other people, I have to make the unpopular choices. And my thing, when it comes to success, it's not about pleasing people. You have to understand that. And just like this Monday mornings with Elise Ann, I just feel like I want to use my time more efficiently, like my friend Priya would say from virtual freedom coaching. She helps people manage her time more effectively. So for me, it's just me wanting to spend my time more effectively. So that's part of success, and you have to know what you need to do to get to success. All right. So that being said, you have to find your own sweet spot. I've heard a mentor says, if you would spend just visualizing what you want 4 seconds a day, 4 seconds, was it 4 or 16? But just might as well be 16, because it doesn't really matter. Just 16 seconds a day. And that would speed up the process. It's just 16 seconds a day. Now, I want you also to think about, going back to what I've said about watching what you say, right? So it's watching your thoughts as well, because your thoughts creates your reality, So I want you to actually be consciously aware now. We have 60,000 thoughts a day. We just go through zip and out of life. We think about what we thought about today. What we think about today is what we thought about yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. So it really never ends. So what I love to do, and if this is in your, if you are willing to do this as well, if you'd like to try it out, just do it. I would just write down my mind monkeys. I would just write down my thoughts. And it will soon turn into a conversation with God, literally, or with yourself, or with your higher self, or just with a higher being. I like to go straight to the source, and I like to talk to God. So I would just start out writing, I would really rant, and this is the time. Seriously, there's a time and space to rant, and going back to what I said early on, we run a business. People are watching you. And if you are a business owner, you have to be really careful with what you say. This is part of visibility, just like Oprah, she said, right? Like, fame and money doesn't get you out of where you are right now. Fame and money amplifies, it magnifies what you have and don't have right now. So fame and whatever that is, it's more visible. So she said, right? Like, when you don't, I'm paraphrasing, basically, when you are nobody watches you, but when you fall as a public figure, everyone knows. So this is part of being visible. This is part of getting your name out there. And this is exactly where most women stop, because, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. And, I don't want people to, basically, it's the fear of not being liked, the fear of being judged, the need to be liked. So you have to understand, being a leader, you have to make unpopular choices at times. And you have to just see, on the whole, just like the president of the United States, Singapore, or whatever, I'm sure the people have their voices, the companies even, but if they were to just please everyone, the country would go bust, right? So they have to look on a bigger plane, a bigger bird's eye view, and then decide based on what is best for most people. For sure, people be kicking and screaming, but you know what? Human beings are adaptable. So this is part of being a leader. So, work on yourself. This is where most people, like I said, avoid, because this is part of being visible. You want visibility. Are you really ready for it? That's, like I said, people just shun away because it's just too scary. They don't want to be put under the microscope and be judged. And in order for you to get your name out there, this is just part of the deal. It's just part of the package. Just like Doreen Virtue, how many marriages have she got now? Everyone knows, right? It's so public. Like the alimony she's got to give, whatever. So you gotta be prepared for this. I mean, this is just part of it. So so it's either you want to be God's best kept secret, nobody knows about you, and you're like just there, or put yourself out there. And it's not that scary. And like I say earlier on, you have to understand, and this is part of personal development and strengthening of your character and your mindset. Those who mind, Dr. Seuss says this, right? Those who mind don't matter, and those who mind don't matter. Those who matter don't mind. Yeah, something like this. You get the point. So I come from this space where if you don't have the results that I really want, then your opinions doesn't matter to me. Not that I'm arrogant or whatever, but it's why should I listen to you when your family is in a mess and you're trying to give me advice, like, you should do this and do that. Who are you, right? So mind your own business. Go fix your life before you tell someone else how they should lead their lives. So people think that I'm angry all the time when I get challenged. I don't, because I know what I'm doing. And ultimately, if you're not happy, I tell this to my husband as well. You have your legs, 2 legs belong to you. The door is there. There's no point of me crying and wanting you to stay should stuff happen. And he knows that. And because I'm so confident, he knows, he can leave anytime. I don't hold anyone. I'm not attached to anyone. So people will kick and scream like, I want to do this, I'll leave, then leave, So you have to be very strong, because this is part of success. Successful people have different kind of conversations. Successful people think very differently, and therefore you have to guard your environment. And to visualize, part of visualizing your success is to actually identify your environment and be willing to let go or move away temporarily the environment, the people that does not serve you, right? So if you're in a job that you absolutely hate, then make plans to leave. There is always a choice in life. People say, I have no choice. There is a choice. God gave us free will. You have a choice. You either go to work or you don't, right? But you've got to face the consequences. So we all have choices in life, right? So once you know that, that's liberating, because the power has always been with you. All right. So there are changes in life, and there are certain action you need to take. Like yesterday, I was, it's so simple. Sometimes, the techniques are so simple. Your mind will be thinking, oh my God, it's just so simple. Is it true? Like, your mind will discount it. Okay. So simplicity is good, right? Keep it simple. Like God created this world in a very simple formula. You plant the seed grows. It doesn't have complicated issues, right? So it's the same thing. So yesterday I was inspired to clear my closet. It's like small little action will, that butterfly effect will have big, what do you call this word? Small action will have big results. So don't underestimate this. So I started to clear my clothes. There were clothes I was attached to. Obviously my body now cannot fit into the small size, but I'm just thinking, one day I will fit in, like ladies, how many of you, go through this? Like one day I will lose back and I will have my 25-inch waist back again. One day, right? So I like, oh my God, that's why people don't like spring cleaning, because it requires so much of the mental work. Like, should I keep this or should I not? But it's like every time I clear my closet and I'm like thinking, okay, this is it, right? I have nothing else to clear. But more stuff was cleared yesterday. Like, so my rule, Oprah's rule and many other people's rule is, if you have not worn it, some people say 3 years, some people say 6 months, but I've got it for like sometimes 7 years. So I think it's time to go, right? And it's like you let the old stuff go, and then you have the new things coming, fashions as such, right? It's an ongoing process. So now I'm in my room right now. I've just cleared off like one whole bunch of clothes there, giving it away. really keeping your space. So your space, in the sense like your environment, even your home space. I mean, you may not have the funds right now to go buy a $500,000 house or $1 million house, but you can do whatever you can right now to decorate your house, make the energy nice, buy some flowers, just pack it up, keep it neat. You can do that, right? You don't need a lot of money to do that. So start doing that. And oh gosh, to digress a little bit, how we sabotage ourselves with choices in life. Yesterday I was out sort of like shopping with my girls, and two girls, and I saw this two, because most of the time at home right now, I've taken my business completely online, right? So I wear like simple clothes like this. I don't have those corporate clothes. It's basically just there in the vault. So I went out and I saw 4 outfits that were animal prints. I have this thing for animal prints. And out of the 4, I told myself, let's just buy one, right? It's so this middle class mentality. I can have this or this. And then, the funny part is this t-shirt or this shirt, it's not like $100. It was only $10. And so can you see how I self-sabotage myself? Like, it's only $10, but I said I can only buy one, either this or this. And I'm like, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna have 2. Because I wasn't really like, fancying all 4, it was just crazy. So I said, I'll have 2. So I took 4 and I took 2. And that was when I decided, should I have this or this? And I'm like, you know what, Elise, it's just $10. You can have both. So that's taking a stand for the end. And I can have this and this. So how you do one thing is how you do so many. So it's like I cleared my closet and good things come, right? The good things in the clothes that I really love to wear, that is more up to date, So think about that in your environment. What can you clear? Like, what I wanted to say was how I sabotaged myself when I was, young and wearing heels. That, the shoes comes in different shapes and sizes, right? And I would sabotage myself so much. Like, if I'm a size 7, and if it's a size 6.5 and I really like it, it's the last pair, I'll buy it. And even though if it's a 7 and I can't wear it, I'll just buy it and I'll expand it and I'll make myself fit into it. Coming back to clothes, right? Like, even though when I had 25-inch waist, and this puny little dress it requires a 23-inch waist, I would say I would lose weight to fit into that dress. So you see how we are adaptable as human beings. And if I really wanted to fit in the dress, I will make sure I have a 23-inch waist. So you will make your mind and do it. Same thing with success. You got to set your mind to it and go for it. So it's just funny. I was just watching how so this is how you watch your mind. I was just watching my mind. I was like, it's just so funny. Like, you sabotage yourself in little ways like this and you don't even realize. So I would love for you to visualize and just play in your head. It's really free. And what if it really comes true? Most people are so comfortable in the negative and they say they want to get out, but really they don't, because they're so comfortable in that negative situation. And because most of us are control freaks, the reason why we're not able to take big risks, because we want to control every movement and we want to make sure, it's there and that sort of thing, right? We want to make sure all the steps are there, but life's not like this. So when it comes to like thinking, we sabotage ourselves like this, right? So I want you to actually visualize, what if you actually got it? What if you actually have what you really desire? Then of course you need to go figure out, what do you truly desire? And if it's possible, and if it truly is possible, all things are possible, then what would you be doing differently in your life right now, right? So start with visualization, actually seeing it in your mind. And it only takes 51% to tip the the balance, the scale, 51%. Isn't that nice? And so stop sabotaging yourself and give yourself that gift to allow this process to start by seeing that possibility, that it is possible, that it can happen. Then what happens? So as I was saying, most people live in that negative zone because they know what to expect next, right? If a guy cheats on you, you know what's next, right? So you set yourself up for situations like this, even though you say you don't want, but you know exactly what's going to happen. And the control freak in you, your ego mind, feels safe. So you say you want love, but what does love really feels like? And that's foreign to the ego. And then therefore the ego thinks you're about to die, and then it repels love for you. And that's why I say it really does take conscious effort on your part to give yourselves new experiences so that you can experience your new normals. And in order for you to have new normals, you must give yourself new normals to experience, and then it changes your mind. I mean, you're not gonna die, right? You know that, but it's the fear is so real. The stories are so real that you're just not gonna let go. So going back to Brian Katie, one of her questions is without those stories, who will you be? They're basically all stories that we tell ourselves. All right, and then journal it, write it down, and if you are open on that day, you may have a conversation with God and ask him, I start off with ranting, I start ranting, why, which is fine because I need to let it out. And I tell him, he's my best friend and he needs to be your best friend too. I mean, you can't trust him, then who else can you trust, right? So I will start a process by ranting. This is my situation right now. Why is and then why are you not helping me? Blah, blah, blah. It's all the blame game that comes out, which is fine, and then there will be an answer. If you listen, there will be an answer for you. Right? So I'm going to hop by to the chat box and see if you have any questions. If you have any question, please press *2 and I will be happy to talk to you. Otherwise, do you have any questions? You can type in via the chat box. Do you have a question? You can press *2, raise your hand. I will unmute your line and we can have a conversation. Alrighty. And also part of the reason why I wanted to just take a break, because like I said, I'm connected, with you guys, with you girls, awesome people on the TSE. And so I feel like this Q&A is pretty, redundant because you can talk to me, on the TSE, right? So, and I believe you probably want quick tips, like come in, have like a 5-minute, 7-minute video, or just go read through the article, how can it help you, and then move on from there, versus like sitting down here watching me and talk for 30 minutes, 50 minutes, and that kind of thing. I'm sure you want kind of like a quick solution, like tell me what to do, 3 steps, 5 steps, right? So if you are not already on the TSE, please go ahead to Facebook and get yourself there in conversation. It's free. There are about close to 4,000 spiritual entrepreneurs now, which is good to, if you want to raise, see, this is something I've learned, right? I think it's such a great opportunity to raise your profile and get your name out there. But I know that introverts are so freaked out with the numbers, but this is a good place to start because, yes, you may not be as gutsy as me challenging certain kind of beliefs, but it's a good experience to go read what life is. Life is not about agreeing with, even Buddha said something in that nature, right? If it doesn't resonate with your common sense, then don't believe, even though it came from me, something like this. So it has to resonate. There are so many religions in the world. There are so many kinds of fashion, because human beings are not just made up of one kind of category. There we have different kinds, so we need different ways. I mean, so even like in spiritual terms, right? My definition of spirituality may not be the same as yours. And my own definition of spirituality now, it's not the same as 5 years or 7 years or 8 years ago when I started. So even in the realm of spirituality, there are so many levels, and there is never really an end, because we are all becoming the better versions of ourselves. We are all improving, and we are all aiming to be better people. And recently, I mean, this is digress while waiting for some questions. I've been recently obsessed with the idea of oneness. Like, I don't really completely embrace it yet. I understand it. I haven't been, there's so many modalities out there. There's so much things going on out there. And then as human beings, we tend to judge. We tend to like, oh my God, either victimize ourselves or put ourselves in a hero status, or a hero, like a, what do you call it, the abuser status, or whatever it is. So we see ourselves like this. But what if, like, we're just one? Like, the reason why women are so emotional in business, because they take it personally. What if you take yourself out of the situation? It's like, sometimes when your girlfriend comes to you and she's like crying and she's screaming, and it's like, no, I don't want to leave the guy. He's just, but you can see he's a player, right? You know he's gonna do it again. You know it, right? And then your girlfriend's like, oh no, you don't understand, right? And on the outside, you can see so clearly because you are not emotionally attached to the situation. So I invite you to look at your life like this. Take yourself out of, it's easier said than done. Okay, I'm not saying that I've completely mastered it, but this is my journey and I'm sharing it with you, because we are all in business and we do need certain kind of emotional maturity to run a successful business. And it's an ongoing journey. When you want to hit a next income level, you've got to be a different person. That's the way it is, right? Otherwise, you would have really gotten that $1 million, that $1 billion, or whatever that you are asking for, right? So it requires you to be a certain person, right? Got it. So therefore, what was I going to say? So the oneness thing, it's what if we're all one? So there won't be anger towards someone else. You won't get pissed with someone else, because I understand when you judge others, you judge yourself. But I didn't put that concept in with the oneness concept. And I just said it like, just like this, you judge yourself, you judge. So I didn't really actually put some thoughts to it. So today I invite you to really think about this. When you judge others, you judge yourself. And this is part of my journey to accept my mom completely, because she's the divine tool. I understand it, but it doesn't mean I emotionally get it. Do you know what I mean? So you read a book, you get it, but it doesn't mean you know it or it's part of your experience, right? Otherwise, those bookworms, the librarians, would be millionaires and they'll be super successful by now. Okay? So I want you to actually think about, everyone's experience is just an experience. There is no good, there is no bad, and therefore there's no victim and there's no abuser, and it's just an experience. So honor your experiences, because they will add up in the future so that you can be that person that you need to be to, change the world and make a difference. Just think about this way. Would you want to work with you right now? Would you want to hire you right now? Would you want to listen to you right now? So same thing, right? So have that confidence in yourself, and give yourself that permission to visualize. It's your journey. You visualize the way you want it, but let's commit to ourselves to give ourselves that permission to even allow ourselves to visualize and to just sit in the moment and to see ourselves for 16 seconds, how life would be. And miracles can happen from that space. You know, we all wanting to take control, take control, take control. We're unwilling to let go because we are control freaks, right? But, you know, we don't have to understand. It's like God is the greatest leader, right? If you want to learn leadership, learn from the big guy himself. Do we know how he operates? No. Does he want us to understand how he operates? Maybe not. So what does he want us to do? Trust him. Trust him that he's leading us, leading you and me to where we really desire to be and to live in a better society as we evolve. We need to trust him. And that's what is required, trust. I know it's easier said than done, but this is a journey, like I said, right? So I remember Marston Keep, the guy, the Daily Love, he said, you know, one day, you know, we start at the lowest point and we start having conversations with God. It's just, I think it's a cosmic joke. God's trying to tell you, hello, I'm still here, you know? So, and he said when he was living in his 4x4 cubicle, and he asked God, I mean, paraphrasing again, why am I in this situation? And so God said to him, because that's your level of trust in me, 4x4 cubicle. And he's like, okay. So nowadays, when I see people like the Kardashians, I know some people hate them, but I tend to actually like them because I'm not in favor of the funny things that they do, but the way they, you know, market themselves and the way they carry themselves, I think there's always something to learn from it. Not that I want to be like them, but there's always something to learn why they are successful, right? So I look at them and I'm like, they must trust in God a lot because they have all these amazing stuff. And ultimately, money doesn't have a conscience. Money doesn't have that. Money has got no judgment. Otherwise, the pimps and the drug dealers wouldn't be rich, right? And if the hardest workers would make a lot of money, then the people in Africa, the third world country, would be millionaires by now. So it's really more than that. So money touches so many areas of our lives, and there's so many people talking about money right now. But I think you've got to be really clear, especially us running a purposeful, heart-centered business. It's allowing the money to serve us and not the other way around. So it's not using your purpose to go make the money, but providing a service as a business to fund your purpose in life. That's the concept that we spiritual entrepreneurs have to understand. You know, money touches so many areas of our lives, but how many spiritual people do you know that are actually really thriving? They're gifted, right? I'm very sure they're gifted. You know, they channel messages, and I see testimonials on TSE, like, she's so awesome, she's so great. And then the next thing you know, they tell you, I'm broke. How is that even possible? If you're truly aligned with the divine, this is not possible. There's a blockage. You're not allowing it to happen. So you're putting a lot of focus on money, which is a lesson to us. I think money it can be viewed as a spiritual teacher. It's neither good or bad, but we have so much emphasis on it. So this, you know, maybe your journey, my lesson in life, it's self-love and money. So the more you love yourself, the more money you will make. You know, it's not the net worth that gives you your net worth, it's your self-worth that is in the direct proportion of your net worth. All right, so I would love to see you soon on the TSE. If you're not there, go ahead and join. Get yourself there, and I'll see you on my blog, on my website, and have a great week ahead. I know you have a gift, you know you have a talent, so stop being the world's best kept secret and get your name out there. The answer is always yes. All right, so see you soon. Bye.